Welcome everyone to the 192nd. Yeah, let me double check numbers. Got to click on places. And... yeah, 192. Well done.
Oh my god, we're so close to 200.
192nd weekly MLP live critique stream. We really have to come up with a better name. It's way too many words.
Let's just make it longer. That's what we should do.
No.
Damn it, foiled again.
Foiled? Yes. Yeah, welcome everyone. As you can hear, we got the ever lovely Aliclaw.
Hello.
And then there's the ever fluffy Zai.
And of course, the ever zombie-ish zombie. Well, Santa zombie, as we've discussed.
It's...
you know, Christmas is now.
Christmas is now. Christmas was last month. And every month. Never stop the sales.
It starts in July. That's the trick. There's Christmas in July.
It starts December 28th.
I don't want to live in this world anymore. I'm going off to Equestria. It's emptier now. There's a lot of space to roam. We're going there.
Housewarming sales aren't as crazy.
And yeah, all evil's gone now. There will never be another problem.
There'll be never any problem ever again, ever.
Listen, there was a stained glass of the student 6 fighting a beastie. There's
Ooh.
problems. Just Yaks are taking care of it.
There's also a picture of Flurry Heart as an adult.
Oh god, missed that.
Why
did
wasn't
they
she
use
in
that?
the end?
Why wasn't she? I know!
I was thinking that. Anyway.
Maybe... No, I know the answer. Much like
right.
Twilight had to do all the work in the show, now it's Flurry Heart doing it all. So they don't have time to stick her anywhere. She doesn't have time to be in that ending happiness.
Canon,
She's off doing work.
accepted and approved and punched with a gold star.
Beautiful.
That is absolutely it.
Alright guys, tune in weekly. We're no longer a critique stream. We just make up alternate universe endings. You know, we're
Yes.
continuing it.
Fluffy's Eye, you can use that in your video this weekend.
I'm absolutely going to.
Alright, so we got pictures to do.
Yeah, art.
First picture up is by Mr. Brick in a Wall.
Ooh.
It's
Our
the
brick
fully
friend.
colored one. Yeah, our brick friend. Our bricklaying friend. I hear that's a good career to have.
This pony is so dapper.
Very. So, trying a new OC look, and that is all they said. Now, is it just because the OC's wearing new clothes, or is it actually...
A redesign.
Like hairstyle.
My question is, do they... I have three hypotheses here. Either A, they have levitation powers without being a unicorn somehow. B, they are just like mid-bounce and we're seeing them just like do a motion. Or C, they have like a prehensile tail and they're like lifting themselves up on their tail.
What if I told you yes to all
Or they
three?
have an invisible stall, D. Or all of the
or
above.
no, I got you the twist.
Mhm.
5. The thing where you draw a
The-
pose you like and it doesn't make sense for anything physically, but
Yes.
it's a great pose.
Hold
Yes.
it. Hold it.
F, all of the above.
6. The coat is actually still hung on the wall, and the pony is just wearing it while it's hung on the wall.
Victory! That,
Victory.
I'm done. There.
G, 7, I, whatever that was.
Jesus.
Okay.
Alright.
Yeah, your picture is fun, is what we're trying to say.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
You have a cute pony.
I need a better color than blue.
Ooh, I'm not gonna. He's getting her.
Alright. So, I have to say, I love the
Excuse me.
colors. So if it's a new style with new colors and stuff, love the colors. Really nice choices. The purples, the greens, the browns, the golds, they all nicely fit together.
Mm-hmm.
So, mwah. Chef kiss. Mwah.
Oh, there we go. Now I can draw. Yay. We have something called an action line going on. Here it is.
Wants to talk about that hip.
Yes.
I'm doing a bad job overlining it, so Ali can probably do a better job.
Oh, you're doing great.
Face.
I would say if I could talk it out while you're showing some fixes.
Yeah.
Basically, the thing with the body is that it's very long, and the hips are a whole other object. Where if you look at a dog or a cat or a horse or any kind of quadruped animal, the hips are a part of the body. Right now, the way you've drawn the hips, it's almost as if they're another extension of it. It's a weird flap. I don't know if you want to look at a plushie or anything that you can physically hold, or even if you have a dog and you're rubbing its belly, you can just kind of like observe how that back leg kind of smoothly transitions from the base of the body to being its own back leg. Um, that's the thing we're missing here. Where if you can see, like here's a good example with Fluffy's leg here. You have the tummy right here, and the leg is coming out of the tummy. Instead of down here where you have drawn it's like its own appendage. If I were to side view what you have drawn, here's the tummy, and then suddenly the knee comes out like this, like it's its own thing.
The hip is actually further back is what you're saying.
Thank you. Yes, I was having issues with that.
Do we want an Aggie? Sure. I mean, if you want to make an Aggie, fire up an Aggie.
Aggies are always appreciated.
Jazzwolf, we will do that picture next. Queue up any questions you have for us on it.
Yeah, that means just having a little think about what you think might need improvement and what you might have been struggling with, and we can answer any questions. I hope I did a somewhat half decent job of this leg here, but yeah, I hope at least gets the idea across of what Ali was saying.
Are you talking about this area, like the arm over here? That's odd to you? Foreground one.
I can see. Yeah, it sort of like has this like weird disconnect, and then it comes out again. Yeah, so it's like folding in, and then folding back out again.
I think what we're seeing is just the odd fold in the clothes that is causing it to become weird for us.
I will do some
the tangent. We just gotta break the tangent up there. Yeah, what Fluffy did. Yeah. You go, Fluffy.
And there's a lot of pull on this elbow here because obviously it's like the corner. So there we go. Oh, my hand doesn't like this angle, but there we go.
Where can you seek out references for clothed horses? My suggestion, go down late at night to a farmer's field, grab a jacket, and just put it on. No, don't do that. Don't.
You goof. But for real though, Derpy Boru.
Yeah.
Just
good references.
Be smart about the references you choose. Because there's you kind of always want to be referencing above your skill level. I feel. This is something I've personally been thinking about recently, because not that it's a sensitive topic, but there's people at different skill level, right?
Yeah.
And depending on what you want to go for and what examples you want, the best reference is going to be something you want to strive to be.
Yeah, totally. No, I've thought about that a few times as well. Like it's totally understandable to get different artists' approach and look at how different artists have done things. Absolutely. Also, if there's just one that you like, go for that. But I mean, ultimately, like the best quote unquote, as much as a fabrication as that is, completely opinionated. The art that you think that you look at and say, oh wow, I absolutely love this anatomy. I love the shapes they use. Like this is whatever art you absolutely are drawing over that you want to strive for. Like Ali said, like that's what you should be using as references. The best artists will be the ones that you should be referencing because they've done a lot of the figuring out already, and then you can learn from what they've learned. So it's not just like it can be hard for some people because it's like, oh, I have to look at this art that's better than mine, and it just makes me feel horrible about mine. But you're not trying to imitate it; you're trying to learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you're doing that and looking at their art and not just and you're not just like looking at and admiring the art. That's definitely the thing you should be avoid doing. Instead of admiring it, you've got to actually look at why you want to admire it. You know, what has drawn you in about any particular. Even if you have to just like say, okay, there's too much here. I don't know where to start. Let's literally just jump in. Okay, the noses, you know, and just pick one small thing to focus in on. Say, okay, how do they do their nose, and just like find that as a starting point. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something that's worth saying.
Trying to think. The other thing I feel like and this could be, you know, something to personally I think, but the way you have the hair drawn, it's almost feels like it's 2D ribbons. I don't know if that's the effect you're going for or not, but it doesn't quite feel like hair. And as for the tail, it kind of feels like a mess. I'm not sure um what's really going on. Because I see a little bit of the tail poking out up here, and then it just kind of comes and is like crazy ribbon. So it's almost like it's not hair at all. I'm not sure. I feel like I'd like to talk to you about what the hair is so I could give you better advice, but right now it feels very flat. And I feel like you could get a lot of volume out of your hair, even if it is ribbon-like. There's a few show ponies that have that like have curls, not like rarity
Yeah.
curls, but like ribbon-like curls in their hair. Can't think of any off the top of my head. Oh hey, it's Mr. Brick in a Wall.
Oh,
Oh,
you're in the
hey.
chat. Hello.
I wanted the hair to change a bit, and how would it have flowed from bells down? Lowell
Right.
just got here.
Nice.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I want to applaud you for just doing this. Like sometimes, it's easy to be like, no, this is my OC's design. I feel like it's inadequate, but this is how they look. It wouldn't make sense to change them. But like sometimes you gotta just bite the bullet and change up a design, and it can be a daunting task, but it's really really good, and you can really make a character feel more fleshed out. So, good job on trying to change up how you interpret things and make things make more sense. That's good.
Yeah, and I love the touch of the bells. I think it's a nice accessory. You don't see that very often.
Do you got any other questions for us, Birkenwall? So, like, be a bit more poofy at the bells. Yeah. Yeah.
Bit more poofy and a less like I wouldn't separate the tail so much here. It's almost like they're bandages. Because right now you have the same thickness going on, and up here you have thinner lines in between the hairs. Try working in some of the thinner lines down here if you want to show clumps. But
Yeah.
otherwise,
I do sort of like the idea of it sort of petering out and separating, going kind of wild towards the end of the tail. But yeah, to like make some inconsistency there would help.
I think you can have it going like out of direction as long as it flows with it in some way, unless it's totally just like crazy hair that's like going out all directions.
So like be a bit more poofy, but at the bells it would be a bit more clean in how it falls. Did you cover the lighting? I tried to emphasize the code with having a slight bit of highlighting on the edges. Just forgot to shade the hair.
I think coat is what they meant.
Ah, right, yes.
Didn't really talk about the shading too much. It seems fine. Do you have a consistent light source?
The only thing I'd be careful about is throwing light on for light's sake. Like in this neck area here, there's plenty of hair that would cover up this spot. And same for this side of the face. You're gonna get a shadow from the hair itself. So just thinking about stuff in the future, the little shadows that'll be thrown on. Otherwise, yeah, for the most part, and like down here at the tummy, just maybe like a little bit. Not everything needs to have like a big old lighting.
Yeah.
Because again, like the knee is gonna have a nice shadow there as well as the jacket, and don't forget about the arm too. The arm's gonna be casting a shadow down on the body, especially because from what I can tell, your light's coming from way up here.
Oh, and since you were talking about the main redesign, I'm not really sure what this part here is doing. It sort of feels like there's like a little flannel dumped on her head. You know, you can. There's a bit of a gap here between the ear and the mane. You can probably like it's a small detail, but you can probably draw the mane a little bit closer to the ear there and have it really like tucking out. Otherwise, it just sort of feels like it's a bit too small. Whereas if it's really pressed up against the ear and coming out from around it, it's like the ear is like there's a lot of hair there, and the ear is separating it, which helps. And I'm not really sure what sort of shape you're trying to go for this whole fringe part. Because you basically just sort of got this one singular shape like this, and everything is very. It's all like very self-contained, you know. Aside from one part being overlapped by a bell, obviously. It's with hair, we usually try to break things up and show how the different strands of hair are overlapping and creating the shape. I mean, even if it is just a singular shape, I mean, you look at Rainbow Dash's hair, which I'm going to totally butcher without reference, but it goes up, doesn't it? It still has this sort of like this hair feel. It's very springy and bouncy, because we can tell that it is strands of hair. So it's just it can be difficult, but it's a matter of just looking at characters and figuring out how they interpret the different styles that they're going for, I guess. I wasn't really sure what I was doing in the front part of the hair. It can, like, I've had that totally with OCs. Like, I'll have like a particular aspect in mind, because I mean, I feel like this is what you've got going here as well. Like, you have like an idea for something. It's like, oh, this is totally what I'm going to do for this character, and then there's like another part of it that you just don't know what you're doing with, or how it like leads into the other thing that you were much more proud of. Like, I totally get it.
As for questioning the soft shading, I would, if you're gonna do parts, like, I think there's nothing wrong with combining soft and hard shading. In fact, I think it helps tenfold to combine those two. So if you're gonna do soft shading on the belly, consider soft shading on other areas as well. It just makes the piece more cohesive and not just like,
Yeah,
oh, randomly this one piece is soft shading.
yeah, you can have multiple things on there, but as long as it's consistent across the whole picture and not just in different areas randomly. When I shade, I actually do cell shading first, and then I have like I actually use the brush tool, like the paintbrush, but I use the smooth watercolor on Clip Studio Paint because it's really good for, you can like smudge. If you're just pressing lightly, it just smudges, but and then if you press a little bit harder, you get some paint. So it's really versatile. But I'll draw my cell shading, and then I'll blur the edges with the brush, which lets me like do it like very gradually. So like, say I have like a tum. Here's the tum. Here's the belly button. And so like I'll be doing the shading, like so like here's the shaded area, which is in white, ironically, but you know, and like I'll go along, and like down here it'll be like very harsh, but then like maybe like up here, or the other way around, I guess. It starts off like very hard and rigid, and then down here it'll be very soft. And I don't have a blurring tool on here, but you can imagine, you just have to use your imagination. So like I'll blur it gradually so it goes from soft to hard, but then maybe there's a hoof over here. And so then even though I've got this like soft shading going on, I'll have some hard shading from the hoof that's like going over it, maybe like slightly blurred, but not much. So like it looks so good to have like those different shading styles like overlap. I mean they're still within the same style, but it's a case of, okay, here's a shadow that's on a big round object, and it's literally just like the light fading away as the object goes away from the light source. So it's big and soft. And here's an object that's casting an actual shadow on the thing, and so it's like a little bit thicker, you know. It's like experiment. Go look at what you think might work. Have a try. It's totally fine if you just want to like back up your shading layer and then try and just say, okay, I'm going to try soft shading, and then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, or you can try it a different way, and if nothing works, you can just bring back the original shading. Me struggling to get the image.
All right, shall we move on?
Sure thing.
Yes, sir.
You're welcome, Mr. Brickwool.
Let me just paste it in.
Mr. Wall of Brick.
It's a wall of bricks?
A brick wall. What if?
with a top hat. I imagine Mr. Brickwall being a wall with a top hat.
A very dapper wall.
Also, I never get over how when you paste an image in, it shows like your icon scanning across as if you're like drawing it in super duper fast.
Didn't you know that's how I actually do this?
It reminds me of back when Bebo was a thing before Facebook killed it and MySpace and all the other things. And you had like the whiteboard thing which they were super proud of, but there were like bots you could use, which you like select an image and it just like it literally just paints the image in like line by line. And I loved them so much, but Bebo hated them. So like, you're supposed to be drawing. Everyone was be look at this perfect recreation of an anime character I drew.
So you really need help with lighting and also drawing the snout from different angles. All right, different angles.
This nuzzle, this little cute nuzzle, pony kiss. It's so cute.
So there's a few different ways of doing it. I mean, copious amounts of references is probably the preferred stamp done. But it looks like you're doing a sort of unique style with your head as far as the shape and construction. So I would urge you to go a slightly different direction and say, build up a framework for how your head is shaped. What I mean by that is, if I take... let me zoom out just a touch here. So what Fluffy is doing, basically...
Yeah. Aldi's probably about to do this, but...
I am. How'd you know?
Because you're just that great.
Okay, apparently my pen stopped completely responding to this properly.
Oh no.
Oh, no.
Come on, give me what I want out of this pen. Work. Sure, why not? So what I mean by framework, if I was to go circle, oh my gosh. I'm gonna blame the tool, not blame the artist here. If I was to go circle, and then I knew I wanted to have it facing the way your blue horse is facing, I would go with a different color just to illustrate this. I would draw the line that's supposed to be bisecting the front of the face, and I make sure I have my side lines, and then I would draw all my construction lines, and then I would draw my 3D shapes on it. The reason I do a 3D shape is because, hey, the head's 3D. I'm going to draw it 3D, so I might as well have 3D shapes to help out the construction of it.
Absolutely.
So here's my muzzle facing, and now I know where I got to place stuff. I know the two little adorable little nostril things go at the end of them. The mouth will follow along the side of it. It's not perfect. There's refining. You take a chunk of sandpaper and a power sander and just go to town on this thing. To round out the edges. If you leave it rounding edges, you'll eventually get Fluffy's eyes, where there is no sharp angles whatsoever. It is all just a cute, adorable, fluffy thing.
Like the show.
Yeah.
That's why I do this.
But my suggestion is 3D objects. And this carries over to more than just horse. Literally everything can be broken down into simple shapes. If you're able...
What? The art is based off of real life, and real life is in 3D. So things are literally made out of 3D objects.
Yeah. So my suggestion, attack it like it's 3D objects and break it down into it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you use a construction framework beneath it, it's going to help get to that final level that you want.
Like if you wanted to draw a wolf, because, you know, Jazz Wolf. It's like, oh, you start off with your ball, you start off with another ball, and this thing about wolves, they got those long snoots. So it's like a circle. Oh wait, no, that circle is a cylinder. And you just connect those lines. It's like, what?
What?
You got yourself a big old nose.
Does that make sense, Jazz? Now, for lighting and shadows, I'm not going to call them weak, because they aren't weak. I think they're just unfocused in how they are. Your light source is from behind Yeah, behind them mostly, and it's a setting sun, and it's highly reflected between this cloud layer that they're sandwiched between. At least that's what it looks like to me. That means you're going to have diffused light everywhere, and you're not actually going to have a heavy source of light. It's going to be all very soft, rounded light. So the things you're getting like down on the leg here, oh my gosh, how about I choose not blue on blue? Like the color, the hard shadows you've dropped over there and over here and back under the wings and under the shoulder there, not actually going to happen. Your lighting's going to be very soft, and the to have a dark spot found in it is actually not going to be that dark. It's just going to be slightly lighter or slightly darker. I hope that makes sense. One of the things that will happen is you're going to get them painted with this orange pink that is happening. Because, wonder of wonder, color is light, and with this amount of color around them, they should definitely be highlighted with it. Luckily, this is actually, depending on how you did your lighting, pretty easy at the step. You can hop onto that highlight layer or shadow layer and actually just tint it back towards whichever direction of your lighting you're going with. It appears that blues and purples are going to be your answer in here. So I would just go ahead and tint it towards the purples and see what happens. It's going to change your entire picture a bit, but it's going to change it for the cooler. Because it's purple. Purple's a cool color. Yeah. No? Okay. I'll be over here.
Go home.
I was just going to try and do some airbrushing if I can figure out which tool that's on. Oops,
Airbrush tool in this.
Yeah, I mean, well, it said pen with like the super low opacity and hardness, I guess.
Yeah. Does that make sense, Jazz? Are you still with us?
No, it's not right. Even brighter. So if like this orange pony, we might need to go more of a pinky route. Oh, it's set to dodge. That's why I just set the layer to that. Yeah, there we go. Now I can mess up your drawing and style.
Are they supported on anything, or are they just falling through the sky right now? Like they've just smack hit each other and voila, we're gonna nuzzle
And
kiss
they're loving kissing.
before gravity kicks in.
The passions of Brony.
Lots of colour on these wings, especially because they'll be like semi-translucent, I guess. Reflective hair will have more shinies in it.
Yeah. Just paint so much color on here. Yeah.
Just
Someone's throwing
slap this
purples and
colour.
pinks.
Yeah, that's me.
Just
I'm helping.
Yeah,
abuse
Alex,
them with it.
I made a dodge layer. We don't have screen, but this is close enough.
I think the other thing though we could also work on is pushing your darks a bit more. Like yes, there's diffuse light everywhere, but you kind of have the same level of shadow everywhere as well. Some areas you can really help push your volumes by pushing some of the darker darks, like in crevices that light will probably not get that deep into. Like if I can just get my color picker here. And
Whoa, it's
go-
making rainbow color. I was not expecting this.
Good. Let me just move. And I'm also doing a little bit of a hue shift too to help get those darker darks. And I need a better pen. No, it's not the one I want. Neither is that. No.
Finding the right tool in this program.
Yeah, sure, I'll do this and we'll see how it works. But like, okay, so the orange pony's armpit here. That's too pink. So let's go a little darker. Just something a little bit, and like right where they touch. That's also gonna be super dark. Like there's gonna be some areas that have like a real hint of darkness, and that will push the volumes. That will push their connection. You know, that'll make it seem like they're not flat surfaces together. It'll be like, oh, they're making contact, and you know, there's a shadow building from that contact. And also for the wing here, just be careful. You have a bit of a tangent the if I can get a better color.
Between the wings.
Yeah, it basically one wing goes directly into the next wing, so it just seems like this is a wing. So, just to try not to have them like flow directly into each other.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, your clouds are gorgeous.
I love
Just
the colors of the clouds.
gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
So as we were trying, you said they were trying to fly through the air doing that arch motion. Action lines are your friend.
Yes.
That this is exactly the kind of picture an action line can just make the difference, and that happens at the very beginning of the picture. So there's not really much that can be done now unless you scrap it and redo the whole thing. So it's more for future reference. But an action line at the beginning for something that has a lot of motion can really help. Also, now that we were talking about tangents, I'm also just noticing one in the wing because this goes through like that. So you might want to try and break up. This one also follows. So breaking up these wings can really help.
Just little things to watch out for.
Mm-hmm.
There's no smudge tool in this program, right?
No, I was trying to do it. Well, I hope you have good luck in future pictures with using action lines and avoiding those evil tangents and having nice warm lighting and more adorable pony nuzzles.
More pony smooching.
Yeah, we need the smooches.
Let's go on to the next picture. Yeah, more horse.
LD gave some A+ critique to me.
Ace Ventura?
Is that what that's from?
That's what that's from.
Yep. I want to watch it.
Do it?
Fine.
Oh, fine. Alright, this one is by Missouri. Ponytober 12. Magic. It only felt right to dedicate this one to the ones who made magic of friendship feel as real as it could be. Oh my god!
Oh no.
It's a feelsy.
It's a feelsy.
I read
Everyone
the
get
text already on the bottom that they wrote there. So
Oh, no.
sweet. Go get our tissues for this critique. I noticed this is person we've had last week because I remember talking about how much I like the lines and their dynamic weight between them as they meet, which is super nice. Was there anything else to their post-LD?
No, just tears.
Yep. Very, very good job. And I love seeing people do stuff like this. Like, it's to make a picture for a reason. And you did it. Yeah, Ellie, it's on that
You
face.
did it. That is right.
Let me pick a different color.
I mean, feel free to
No, I'm
just
gonna
go
turn
silly
my
and
fade
draw silly for silly's sake.
Since there's no colors in this piece to critique, I'll just turn that fade up. Make it easier for our redlining.
Wait, what's the shortcut to rotate?
You pick up your tablet and turn it.
Oh, right.
It doesn't work when you're not on a screen display like Kelly is.
Wait.
Pick up your
just
monitor
know it.
and turn
But then you have you gotta do that and your tablet because otherwise you get the disconnect.
Oh, touche.
No, I put the monitor on a stool and I manually walk around it.
That makes sense.
Yeah. That's
great.
that's how you solve it. For real though, I used to know how. I have just no clue right now.
It's on the bottom. It's right beside the zoom.
I could have sworn there was like a.
I thought there was.
Well,
there
there's
was
probably just roll your hand across the keyboard. You'll find
They,
it.
they got rid of. Oh, that's so mean. It used to have a slider bar. They got rid of that.
And now
oh,
it's just a
shift,
number.
Control, Shift, Space, and drag. It seems to be it.
Oh, that makes sense.
Or, yeah, Shift, Space, and oh god, I'm flying across the canvas here.
Flying around at the speed of sound. Wait.
This program has never liked rotating the canvas with the buttons, it gets so freaked out by it. Now it's not even working at all. So
All right.
now I didn't want to be rotated. I was just trying to help Ali. Now I'm stuck. Okay, there we go. Anyway.
So, I love the very thick lines. They're rather nice. I think the thing to work on here would be consistency. We have a lot of faces going on here, and of course the main six can have different facial features and be different that
Absolutely.
way. But we're kind of going all over the
That should
place.
be more deliberate.
Yes. The eyes, you look at the eyes, and some of them, like Rainbow Dash's, do not feel like any of the others, and it's not just because she doesn't have eyelashes or and I'm inferring this, I could be wrong. From what I can see here with how you drew the muzzle, she almost looks like she's supposed to be looking upward. So I think we can tackle a way to make it seem a little more upward instead of just like a flat face with eyes. Let's see. Control Shift. Alright. Get a better pen really quick.
I'll just be one moment.
Go for it.
Dad has abandoned us.
Oh no! Now I can get ice cream. Hey everybody, you get free ice cream.
He was denying us the opportunity for ice cream earlier, so we can break the rules. This might not be super what you're going for, but it's just something that's worth keeping in mind because I know the show doesn't do this. They when the ponies turn, they have the exact same eye on the side of their head as they do looking at it from the front, but like it's worth knowing that that is not how it should be. So if you do just want to do it exactly like the show, it's absolutely fine. But this is just like something that's worth considering. I'm just doing a doodle down here, but here's something sort of like the eyes in the ponyverse as far as I could from the front, and I'm gonna do like a side one, like I was just doing Applejack there. If I was gonna like do this fully, not like an anime, but based off of real life, we'd have the eye be more like this. Like this is the whites. Ugh, my pen's lagging. Because eyes are a 3D ball in a skull. And I'm not doing it justice really by this. It's worth actually looking up like 3D eye stuff because it's really interesting to look at. It's really fun, really fun thing to actually study and learn. Because there's always stuff about like how the eye, even like the pupil, can look 3D with like the way you do the it's something like this because the pupil is actually like a segment taken out of the ball. So it's you don't need to go this advanced, but it's definitely worth just keeping in the back of your mind. And then like over time, it sort of starts to make sense, and you start to like slot into it, if that makes sense. But I also tried to draw I made an attempt to draw Applejacks in the the same style, just from the side, and with more of that consistency that Ali was talking about.
And I am looking for reference of a pony looking that far up. Because references.
Yeah. It is a trick thing.
Especially I see you have more of a show style, and I'm not the best with drawing show style. So I'm gonna just get some references to help with that because you know what? References are there to be helpful.
Yeah.
Also, the danger of references. I'm finding really cute art, but it's not helpful for what I need.
Yeah, it's so distracting.
It's like, oh, I'll save that. Oh, I'll save this. Ooh,
Like, no, it's supposed to be working.
Oh, I'll use this later.
For some reason, the rainbow dash at the top reminds me of Little Misfortune, just in the way that the facial features are placed. Find a reference if I can. Here we go. Ooh. Totally reminds me of this.
Oh, I've seen that. I've seen images from that game floating around.
It's a fun and cute game.
Oh, that's cute, Kieran.
Don't get distracted, Ali. Come back to us.
I'm looking. And, like there's a lot of ones.
Like,
You can tell
yeah,
this is a
it's
hard angle because there's a lot of people
yeah.
that have looking up, but from a side view because you can like demonstrate the muzzle physically like at an angle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the most important from what I'm looking at reference wise, I think the most important thing to help determining the looking up factor is purely what am I on like 3 different layers again?
All of the layers, actually.
Every
Not
layer
all of
at
them.
once. You are on.
Oh no,
layer-
wait, my opacity is
You're
just really
using.
low.
Are you using like the laser pen thing?
No, my opacity just was really low.
Oh yeah, because the opacity
I couldn't-
breakover
I couldn't
point
even-
is silly.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell what layer you were on. I was like turning them off and on, and I couldn't see.
Alright, I don't
Ooh.
need that brush. It's a struggle. But yes, the thing that's putting off the face for me is the fact that the eyes are lower than the muzzle. And they can be a little bit, but for having a pony look up, it's like the eyes didn't move at all and just the muzzle moved, so you have that weird like the nose is sticking up higher than the eyes. And we can balance this out just by pulling the eyes up a bit. And my computer is not happy for some reason.
Just shake your fist at it.
Grrr! No, it's like
Okay.
you know when you
If
hover
you- if you-
over. Oops, sorry.
Oh no, you go. Sorry, I was interrupting you.
Oh no, it's fine. I was just saying, when you hover over derpy image, it pops up a thing with all the tags, and for some reason that
Oh, yeah.
followed me over to draw pile, so that was just in the way of the drawing.
Right.
That's all I wanted to complain about. Sorry.
That mustn't. Right. I know you can find. It's not always perfect, but you can. Like, I just Google pony head angle. Oh wait, there's a new one I've not seen before. Sometimes you can get some like super good. I'm gonna link this one. Oh, it's a Pinterest. Just take me to the DeviantArt page. Gah. Gah. Just view the page. Amino. Why does it have to be so difficult? Why does life have to be so hard?
So much for that simple Google.
Yeah, well, like Google, I could just open the image, but I was like, I want to get the actual link to link the person who drew these head angles, but I'm good.
You are
think it's
good.
This one. So, then we did like references of people just drawing pony heads at different angles, and also photos of ponies, like actual ponies. So you can get people show like some of them are stylized, some of them are show style, so you can see like, oh, here's how I might be able to figure out how this face works at this degree. Not all of them are as intense an angle as you're doing with your dash here, though.
Yeah, and this is just, I'm not quite sure what you wanted to do. I kind of have a feeling that she's looking up, but I mean, I could be wrong, and it could just be her looking forward and confident.
This one's a stallion, but I'll delete these after a bit.
I wish I would have been zoomed out for this entire time.
Oh, where were you?
Because I wasn't in the room.
Wait, zoomed out. How? Like, where was it cut off?
I was on Ponytober, like just the main picture. So all those faces you just pasted, half of them are cut away.
Well, that's okay. It was only one of them that was actually necessary, and I can't redo because this thing is silly. And that is, oops, I cannot even access my tool. But there we go. That was the only thing. If my face is at the side here, I imagine the side on eye that I was drawing while I was talking about 3D eyes was probably
that was all there. Yeah.
Okay. Where's the other reference? No, I just did a thing. My reference turned into Google Docs. Go back. Back, I say. Oh goodness, I don't want to go in the Equestria Amino app. I have it already. Just don't use it. This one. I need to find the actual. So I wanted to link this one in the MLPDS, but then I didn't have the actual page for it, and I would
There we
need to get the
go.
reference, or the alley will come down on me with vengeance.
Wahaha. Reference your artists, people. They deserve it, Jazz G.
Yes.
Alright, okay, I think,
Alley's
you
is
know
better
what?
than us, though.
No, you're fine. That's a really good reference. I think I figured out my issue with why I couldn't figure it out, because I kept trying to stick to the picture when this just needed to be worked out from the base up. You know?
Yeah, that's why sometimes redlining is really hard.
Yeah, usually, because as artists we all have our processes, right? I do a lot of undersketching, and so to just do something without an undersketch kind of messes with me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Same
so
here.
that's why I just like, you know what? Oh, and then I'm looking and it's like, oh, that head is too big, and oh, actually, that line right here, that shouldn't exist if we're looking that far up, because we'll see kind of like, because ponies don't really have a chin, but like, oh, look, you can have like a little chin or something, but you'd see that like under chin to neck transition down to, you know.
I'm gonna try and draw without an undersketch, even though we were literally just saying. But something I've seen in sort of animes like this for humans, but you know, there's no human like hiding behind them. I'm wearing ponies on my head. This is all just a very elaborate hat.
And some other things like the ears, we can have the head overlap the ears a bit, so that they feel behind instead of. Not what I wanted. So they're behind instead of like with it, just to build that like idea that she's looking up,
Yeah.
so they're slightly covered.
This needs to have more phase and upwards.
Horse.
I'm gonna link the head.
But again, I'm not an expert at drawing show style, so the hair looks good for show style hair. Personally, I would want to push it to be more 3D instead of flat, but that works. You can definitely, like, if I were to actually just like trace over your hair, I think that fixes. Yeah, you can make that work. It was more just, I think the head was also too big. You know, maybe well, the other heads are bigger. The proportions of it were off to me, and it's hard to articulate, but hopefully the drawing I did helps articulate it, and you'll be able to translate it to what you're doing. And I apologize if it doesn't. Again, I do struggle with like doing show style, and it's not my cup of tea.
I put it in tutorials by putting the voice chat as well.
That is a very good head reference.
It is.
Yeah, that's what I used to use like way back, and I still reference it sometimes. Just if I'm really struggling with an angle. I'll put this in the. Well, I can put it in the Picato chat just for anyone who's not in the Discord. And I already showed it on the screen earlier, so. If you want to get that picture again, you can come to our Discord.
Discord.
Where we are ironically harmonious in our love of drawing horses. Not discordant at all, nope.
Alright, so we want to call it?
I say so. If nobody
Thank you all
else
for your submissions.
Yeah. It was fun as always.
Lovely arts and lovely poems.
Alright, thank you all for joining us, and we'll talk to you again next week. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.